5 bone-chilling midnight tales that haunt you long after. Never told before. The clock struck midnight, and every shadow in the room seemed to quiver. Dark tales, whispered by the fire, became living nightmares under the caress of the ghostly moonlight filtering through the curtains. Those who dared to listen found themselves holding their breath, teetering on the edge of fear and fascination. This was the hour for stories that didn't just entertain. They haunted you long after the last word was spoken. This was the hour when the dark corners of your mind came alive, and even the bravest souls felt a chill creeping down their spine in a quaint little town called Maple Hollow. People spoke in hushed tones about the old Rustwick Manor at the end of Elm Street. The place had been abandoned for decades, its windows boarded up, and its once cheerful paint now faded to a ghostly shade of gray. Legend had it that the last occupants had heard eerie laughter echoing through empty halls, sounds that carried on the wind long after they fled. Those with a penchant for the strange said that if you listened closely enough at midnight, you might hear the faint hum of a lullaby, as though the house craved warmth and life once more. It was on a seemingly ordinary night that Jamie, an adventurous teenager with a head full of curiosity, decided to uncover the mysteries of Rustwick Manor. Her friends warned her, "Don't go. It's a bad idea." But what was life without a little thrill, a dash of danger? As she flipped the rusty gate open, a shiver danced down her spine. The air felt thick, almost alive, pressing in on her chest. She stepped inside, her heart pounding like a drum, each beat amplified by the whispers of the past. The floor creaked beneath her sneakers, sounding like the groans of forgotten memories awakening from a long slumber. Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Inside, the manor was like a tomb. Dust hung in the air, dancing slowly, illuminated by the moonlight. Jamie's fingertips grazed the cracked wallpaper, and at that moment, a low humming began to surround her. The sound, soothing yet chilling, twisted the air into a palpable tension. Her instincts screamed at her to leave, but curiosity drove her forward. Shadows loomed like watching eyes. Every rustle made her jump, but every inch deeper into the house only heightened the inexplicable call of the unknown. Just as Jamie reached for the doorknob of a long-locked room, a sudden whisper echoed through the empty halls, sending shockwaves of terror through her body. "Leave while you still can." The voice was both a warning and a plea. Was it a trick of her imagination or something more sinister? Her heart raced, breath quickening, as she stood frozen, wrestling with the urge to flee and the desire to uncover the truth. What lay behind that door? What secrets did the manor hide? As the whisper faded into silence, a cold draft blew past her, a hint of something not quite right. The shadows around her thickened, almost as if they were pulling her closer. And deep down, she knew she was on the brink of discovery or disaster. The night was far from over, and within those crumbling walls, the darkest of tales were just beginning to unfold. As the chilling echo of the whisper faded, silence engulfed Jamie. Goosebumps crawled up her arms as she hesitated, still clutching the doorknob, drawn in by both fear and an undeniable urge to know what lay beyond. The weight of the moment pressed heavily on her. It felt as if the manor itself held its breath, waiting for her next move. The humming grew louder, a lullaby of forgotten dreams and lost ones. It swirled around her like a dark fog, almost pulling her in, but Jamie's feet remained rooted to the creaking floorboards. She knew she should be terrified, but there was a strange comfort in that lullaby, a promise of warmth in the depths of the icy gloom that enveloped her. With trembling fingers, she turned the knob, feeling the metallic coolness bite into her skin. The door creaked open with a reluctant groan, revealing a dimly lit room filled with forgotten relics. Dust-covered furniture sat shrouded in sheets that looked like ghosts themselves, draped over the memories of the past. The air smelled stale, but beneath it lingered something floral, as though a hint of life still fought against the suffocating darkness. Jamie stepped inside, her heart racing louder than ever. With each step, the floorboards protested, echoing through the open space like a warning bell. As she moved deeper, her breath caught in her throat. In the center of the room stood an old rocking chair, its surface worn smooth by time and use. It swayed gently as if someone had just stepped away, leaving an invisible presence behind. Her eyes darted around, searching for the source of the wretched, melodic hum. Suddenly, a bent figure flickered in her peripheral vision. Jamie whipped around to see a ghostly apparition standing at the far side of the room. The girl's face was pale and gaunt, framed by unkempt dark hair, and her eyes reflected an ache that seemed to pierce Jamie's soul. "Help me," the girl whispered, her voice quivering like the last thread of a fragile dream. Jamie felt a surge of empathy wash over her, but fear clung to her like a shadow. She took a tentative step closer. "What do you need?" The question slipped out before she could think, an impulsive act of bravery born from the urgency of the moment. With a hollow sadness, the apparition pointed to a corner of the room where the shadows cast a thick veil. They will never let me go." The others, her voice trailed off, a flicker of dread passing through her translucent form. Jamie felt a chill trickle down her spine. Who were the others? What did the girl mean? Curiosity gnawed at her. What happened here? She pressed, inching closer, unwilling to back down. "No time," the ghost insisted, her voice escalating into a panicked whisper. "You've got to leave. They're not just shadows, they're hungry." Before Jamie could respond, the room darkened, and the atmosphere shifted swiftly. A low growl reverberated through the air, a sound primal and threatening. She turned just in time to see the walls of shadows morphing, twisting into grotesque shapes. Panic seized her heart. The shadows were awakening. They were alive. Without thinking, Jamie sprinted towards the door, eyes wide with fear. But as she reached the threshold, the girl's voice broke through the chaos. "You must uncover the truth." Jamie hesitated, torn between fleeing and the need to help. In that moment, she knew she had a choice to make: run for her life or risk it all to dive deeper into the manor's harrowing past. And the shadows behind her began to creep closer, mouths stretching into furious grins filled with an insatiable desire. What would Jamie choose? In the flickering light, a decision loomed heavier than any ghost. As the ominous laughter filled the air, she had to wonder. Was she a savior or merely another lost soul trapped in the web of Rustwick Manor? The night still held many dark secrets, and Jamie could feel the end of this chapter drawing near. But the fears swimming in her mind hinted at a chilling truth. Everything was about to change. Would she uncover the truth, or find her own demise amidst the swirling shadows? The shadows lunged forward, tendrils of darkness reaching out as if they were hungry for flesh. Jamie's heart raced, pounding in her chest like a warning bell. She barely breathed, frozen between two worlds: safety on one side and revelation on the other. Suddenly, the ghostly girl stepped further into the room, her form shuddering like a candle flickering under an unseen breeze. "Please!" she cried, her voice filled with urgency and fear. "You have to," with a primal scream. Jamie turned and bolted from the room, adrenaline surging through her limbs. Breaching the threshold, she tore down the hall, each frantic footfall echoing her desperation. The air around her thickened, charged with tension, as a sweeping darkness followed. The growling morphed into a chorus of whispers, a chilling cacophony that set her teeth on edge. "Stay with us. Join us." Was it the shadows speaking? A deep panic settled in her chest. "No!" she shouted, desperation spilling from her lips. The words felt weak against the resolve of the encroaching darkness. She raced down the narrow corridor, the walls closing in around her, claustrophobic and menacing. A door on her right caught her eye. It was slightly ajar, a sliver of hope gleaming in the murk. Without thinking, she yanked it open and leaped inside. The room was small and cluttered, filled with old trunks and scattered papers, but Jamie barely noticed. She slammed the door shut, bracing herself against it, chest heaving through the thin wooden barrier. She could hear the whispers grow louder. "You can't escape. You belong to us?" With trembling hands, she scanned the room for a weapon. Something, anything to defend herself. A glint caught her eye. An ornate candlestick lay on a nearby table, the brass surface reflecting a dim light. She grabbed it, gripping it tightly, letting its weight give her courage. The whispers persisted, haunting her thoughts. "You must help her. She knows the truth. She's one of us now." Jamie shook her head, willing herself to focus. She had to find a way to escape, to unravel the truth that lingered in the shadows. But how? Panic flared again, her thoughts spiraling. If she stayed hidden, fate would conspire against her. But if she ventured out, she was at risk of losing herself to the darkness. Taking a deep breath, Jamie glanced around the dim room, searching for anything that could guide her. Her eye caught a dusty journal flung across the floor. She lunged for it, flipping it open, the brittle pages crackling under her fingers. Lines of frantic scrawling filled the pages, hints of stories drowned in despair. "She's trapped. The others took her." The skin on Jamie's arms prickled as she read, feeling the weight of every word resonate within her. Each sentence revealed a piece of the truth, but the deeper she delved, the more her heart raced. The tales within spoke of a bond between the shadows and those they consumed, an unholy alliance that tethered them to loss and longing. Just then, the door rattled violently. A deep voice echoed through the wood, mocking and sinister. "You will not find the truth, Jamie. You are too late." Her breath caught, and dread pooled in her stomach. Who was that? What truth was she supposed to uncover? Heart pounding against her ribs, Jamie slammed the journal shut. The shadows were pressing in, demanding her release. But the girl, she needed her help. A part of her felt that there was a sliver of hope amidst the encroaching shadows. With resolve bubbling up from within, Jamie cast one last look at the door. She could feel the darkness swirling, ready to consume her whole. But what if the secret she sought could free the ghostly girl? What if uncovering the truth was the only way to break the cycle of despair? Jamie's jaw set with determination. She opened the door again, bracing for the darkness with her candlestick raised high. The shadows recoiled slightly, and for a moment, they hesitated. Did she hold their fear in her grasp? As the whispers turned into frantic shrieks, she shouted, "I will uncover the truth. I will help her." But just as she stepped forward into the chaos, a blast of chilly air swept through the corridor, slamming the door behind her, and plunging her into darkness once again. Was she strong enough to face whatever awaited her? And what other horrors lived in the heart of Rustwick Manor? As she stood in the darkness, with shadows closing in, she could only wonder. What truth would lay ahead, and how many lives had already been lost seeking it? The darkness enveloped Jamie, heavier now as if it were a living entity intent on suffocating her spirit. She breathed in shallow gasps, the chill creeping into her bones. Every instinct screamed at her to retreat, but she couldn't. Not when the ghostly girl's desperate plea echoed in her mind. "You have to help me." With the candlestick clutched tightly, she stepped deeper into the corridor, wary of the shadows that lunged forward with an eagerness that unsettled her. Just beyond her vision, the faint outline of the girl flickered. Jamie's heart ached with sympathy. That fragile form had known suffering. "Who are you?" Jamie whispered, her own voice feeling fragile against the weight of the silence. The shadows quivered as if summoning a response, but instead, the whispers intensified, swirling around her, invasive and mocking. "You're too late to save her. Too late for everyone." Those words ignited a fire within her. No, she wouldn't succumb to their despair. With fierce determination, Jamie pressed on. She recalled the journalist's words about the bond between the shadows and their victims. Perhaps there was a way to sever that connection. Suddenly, a light flickered at the end of the corridor. Jamie hesitated. A shape emerged from the gloom, solid and menacing. A tall figure, cloaked in darkness, loomed over her, its presence commanding. "You shouldn't have come here," it hissed. Jamie's grip on the candlestick tightened. "I need to find the truth." Another roar of laughter erupted from the figure, sending shivers down her spine. "Truth? Down here, there is only darkness." Shadows writhed around the figure, mingling with its cloak like tendrils possessed. Then, inexplicably, the girl appeared beside Jamie, glowing softly against the shadows. "Listen to me," she pleaded, her voice barely a whisper. "They're feeding off your fear. You must remember who you are. It's too strong." Jamie felt the weight of despair pulling her downwards. The monster in the darkness laughed again, the sound like nails scraping against a chalkboard. "No." The girl's urgency snapped Jamie out of her stupor. "Fight. You have the light within you." In that moment, Jamie remembered the fragments of bravery that had brought her here, the strength gathered from her will to save another. Channeling that energy, she raised the candlestick high. The brass gleamed eerily in the dimness, casting long shadows that seemed to roar back defiantly. The monstrous figure faltered. "No, you can't." The moment was electric. Jamie's heart raced as she shouted, "I won't let you take her." With a swift motion, she swung the candlestick towards the figure, the light flaring brighter, illuminating the tangle of shadows. "Ah!" it shrieked, twisting and contorting as if searing light had touched it. The whispers turned chaotic, shrieks of anger sounding as darkness pulled back, recoiling. The ghostly girl turned toward Jamie, a shimmer of hope in her eyes. "You can break this cycle. You just need to believe." But just then, the ground beneath them quaked, splintering like ice underfoot. Chasms opened, dark and hungry, threatening to swallow everything. The figure bellowed, "You will fail. You belong to us." Jamie's heart pounded as she fought against the fear clawing at her mind. Ignoring the pull of the abyss, she grabbed the girl's hand. "We're getting out of here." Together, they surged forward, their spirits entwined in a desperate bid for freedom. As they raced towards the flickering light, Jamie felt a surge of energy, a promise of hope igniting her soul. But the shadows swirled violently, filling the corridor with a deafening roar. With a final push, they leaped towards the light, just as the darkness clawed at their heels. "Jamie!" the ghost girl called, and just as they broke through into a new chamber, everything went black. What awaited them on the other side? Would they find salvation or plunge deeper into the abyss? The chilling unknown stretched before them, and as the echoes of the shadows faded, Jamie knew the battle was far from over. When the darkness finally released its grip, Jamie and the ghostly girl tumbled onto hard ground, gasping for breath in a cold, clammy space. Shadows danced at the edges of their vision, but slowly the dim light flickered back to life, revealing that they were not alone. The chamber looked like some twisted version of a forgotten world, littered with remnants of past lives. Fractured mirrors hung from the stone walls, their surfaces cracked and distorted. In the center stood an ancient pedestal, its surface etched with unfamiliar symbols radiating a faint glow. The air tasted stale, heavy, as if containing the weight of countless untold stories. "Where are we?" Jamie's voice trembled. The ghost girl shivered, her eyes wide, reflecting the light like shattered glass. "This is the heart of the darkness," she whispered, stepping cautiously toward the pedestal. "It's where the shadow feeds on despair, where souls are lost." A shiver cascaded down Jamie's spine. She felt the pull of emptiness radiating from the pedestal, a magnet that seemed to call out to her very core. "But how do we escape?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. The girl reached out, her translucent fingers brushing against the symbols. "There's a way to break the cycle, but you need to confront your greatest fear." At that moment, the shadows gathered, swirling with renewed aggression. The tall figure emerged, now even more imposing in the dimness, each eye aglow with malice. "You think you can escape? You're nothing but a spark in my eternal night," it roared, the rage echoing through the chamber. Jamie stepped back, heart hammering. "What do you mean by that? Every time you think you can defeat me, the darkness only grows stronger. You and the girl are bound to this place. No. The girl's voice was sharp as she turned to Jamie. We have to believe. Our fear feeds it. Remember, you are not alone. Jamie felt a tumult inside her, a swirling storm of memories and pain. Her childhood fears. The hurt that had lingered too long. She knew she had to face them. With a shaky breath, she approached the pedestal. Forcing herself to confront the swirling essence of sorrow clawing at her heart, she stood before the symbols. A memory crystallized in her mind. The day she lost her brother. The emptiness had consumed her since then, turning every joy into a burden. But as she acknowledged the heartbreak, she felt an unexpected warmth light within her, as if the very essence of her brother was urging her to stand tall. No more. Jamie shouted, the words echoing fiercely. You will not take me. The shadows recoiled as if struck. Jamie could feel the power of her voice commanding the darkness, piercing through the veil. The figure wavered, confusion flickering across its form. In that instant, the pedestal shone brighter, the symbols glowing with a fierce energy. The girl smiled brightly beside her, radiating confidence. Together, let us show them what we're made of. But just as the light emanated from them, the laughter of the dark figure returned, more sinister than ever. You think this power can save you? You are merely opening the door to more suffering. Jamie gripped the ghost girl's hand tighter. Together we will break this cycle. With every ounce of strength, they channeled their shared light, flaring against the shadows. The darkness shrieked, a sinister wail of rage. The cavern shuddered as cracks snaked through the walls, the very fabric of the darkness unraveling. But just as they felt the tide turning, a blinding flash erupted, engulfing everything. In the brilliance, Jamie felt herself being pulled apart, scattering into a million shards. Where would she land? What would become of them in this clash of light and shadow? And would they emerge whole or forever shattered? The answer loomed as terrifying as the darkness itself. The blinding light consumed Jamie, wrapping her in warmth, yet it felt volatile, as if it might just as easily burn her alive. She gripped her eyes shut, the memory of her brother flickering behind her eyelids like a candid moment frozen in time. Then came the fall, no ground beneath her. No walls, just a dizzying void that revealed nothing but endless blackness. Suddenly, a jolt yanked her back, shattering the darkness like glass. Jamie gasped and staggered to her feet. The chamber returned around her, but it was different now. The air crackled with energy, each breath electrifying. Like the aftermath of a summer storm, the pedestal pulsed, brighter than before, casting strange shadows that skittered like frightened animals. Where are we? Jamie asked, scanning the eerie room. The ghost girl stood beside her, equally bewildered. Yet her presence felt more solid this time, as if the light had bound them together deeper than before. I don't know, but it's changed, the girl replied, tilting her head to catch sight of the pedestal symbols now casting vibrant patterns across the walls. Each rotation of color shone with soft whispers, almost as if the symbols were alive, revealing secrets Jamie couldn't quite grasp. In an instant, the towering shadow returned. Its eyes gleamed like twin suns, blinding yet menacing. You think you can unravel my realm? I will devour every light you create. It loomed closer, its voice a harsh rasp like nails scraping against stone. Stay back, Jamie shouted, raising her hands instinctively. The vibrant warmth, a gift from the pedestal, poured through her fingertips, ready to fight. Feel the weight of your grief, the figure hissed, its form trembling at the edges. It is your greatest weapon, yet your greatest weakness. The words sank deep. Jamie's heart raced. Could it mean her sadness was part of her power? Could she turn her pain into strength? She recalled the warmth from her brother's memory, a flicker of hope. No, Jamie declared, pushing the thought in front of her as if it were a shield. I want to let you own my sorrow. Channeling everything she had, the love, the hurt, the memories, she felt energy surge, transforming the darkness into brilliant light that expanded from her chest. The air vibrated with the power of her raw emotions. The chamber hummed as if it were alive, resonating with her determination. Beside her, The ghost girl illuminated, merging her luminescence with Jamie's. Together, she said, her voice harmonizing with the strength between them. Let us banish the darkness. But the shadow cackled, defiance swirling in its voice. You think this will work? You're merely feeding the cycle. The light cannot overpower me. With a fierce resolve, Jamie pushed through the fear that threatened to mill her down. This will end, she roared, and the walls shook, each echo sparking a resonance in the cymbals. Suddenly, Jamie felt her foot slip. A crack appeared beneath her, widening into a chasm that pulsed like a heartbeat, threatening to swallow them whole. Panic gripped her. We need to focus, she yelled, but her own fear was rising, clawing at her resolve. Hold on, the girl shouted, extending her hand once more. Jamie grasped it, feeling the cool touch mix with her burdened heart. With an almost desperate focus, they propelled their light toward the dark mass, hoping to fracture it. The shadow twisted away, howling in agony as breaking points splintered across the chamber like shattered glass. But in that chaos, Jamie noticed something. Another figure flickered deep in the shadows, hidden behind the darkness swirling around them. Jamie, it called, a faint, familiar voice laced with urgency. Time froze as she strained to see, hope igniting within her chest. Who was it? They were not alone. Could this new presence be the missing piece they needed? The light faltered for a moment as Jamie grasped the urgency of the moment. Would they discover who it was before the darkness snuffed out their light entirely? The pressure mounted, and with it, Jamie and the girl prepared to face whatever lay ahead. The familiar voice echoed again, drawing Jamie like a moth to a flame. Jamie, please, I need you. Her heart raced as she squinted into the swirling shadows, searching for the source. The darkness snarled, twisting violently as if it wanted to smother that voice, to silence it forever. The flickering light she and the ghost girl conjured hesitated, dimming at the encroaching darkness. Who is it? Jamie yelled, her voice laced with frantic urgency. Anxiety clawed at her insides. The shadow shifted, revealing a face for just a split second, a scruffy mop of hair and eyes that shone bright against the gloom. Cody, she breathed, recognizing her brother through the chaos. No, the immense figure growled, drawing closer. You don't want to go down that path. Grief will cost you more than you can imagine. Tremors of fear rippled through Jamie. I don't care, she shouted defiantly, standing her ground. I wouldn't trade anything for him. Jamie, the whisper was almost lost in the swirling noise. You have to fight. You have the light in you. Putting everything else aside, Jamie could feel the pedestal resonating with her resolve, like a heartbeat matching her own. She took a deep breath, embodying her memories of Cody, his laughter, his encouragement, his comforting hugs. Together, she said firmly over the crackling energy, glancing at the ghost girl. We can reach him. We have to save him. The girl nodded, sparkling with intensity. Focus on the bond you share. Let it guide the light. The shadow seemed to recoil, growling in agitation. Fools! You cannot reach him. Not from here. Ignoring the threat, Jamie pressed on. She locked her gaze onto the figure of Cody, who appeared just within reach, the shadows dancing between them like a cruel joke. Stay with me. I'm coming for you. A pulse throbbed through the air, vibrant and unyielding, as Jamie channeled her love, fear, and sadness. She turned to the ghost girl. Now, with an explosive surge, they thrust the light forward, a beam of brilliant color exploding against the darkness. It clashed spectacularly, illuminating the chamber, drawing a cutting line through the chaos. The shadow screeched, its form fracturing as the darkness fought to hold itself together. You think this will save him? He has lost to you. No, Jamie yelled. Each word echoed louder, almost defiant against the howl of the darkness. We'll break this cycle. A spiral of light erupted, binding the surrounding shadows in a cocoon of radiant warmth. She could feel the presence of Cody loom closer. Hope surged. She was almost there. Jamie, he cried again, clearer this time. The energy felt tangible, flowing through her veins as she reached out, pushing the light further. "I believe in you." A violent shudder shook the ground, and Jamie stumbled, clenching her fists. "We can do this. We can bring him back." As the light cast a brighter sheen, Jamie felt the ground beneath her crack more violently, the chasm widening. "Hold on tight." With a wrenching scream, the darkness buckled, fighting against the tide of light, yet it splintered, cracking like ice beneath the pressure. But Jamie felt the pull. The shadows clawed at her, yearning to drag her into their abyss. "There's something more," the ghost girl shouted, trying to lift the intensity. "What do you mean?" Panic surfaced in Jamie's voice. "Trust your heart. It knows. Feel his presence. Follow it." A chilling wave washed over Jamie. It was surging, pulling her deeper into the memory. More than just love, there was a secret hidden behind those moments she had cherished. "Jamie!" Cody's voice sang through the storm, and just like that, time unfurled in a visceral pulse. What was it? After all this time, was there something she hadn't fully understood? The darkness raged, more desperate than ever. They were almost there, or were they? As the shadows curled ominously, Jamie realized the truth was right within reach, hovering just out of sight. Could she really face it head-on before time slipped away for good? "Focus," she commanded herself, heart pounding as visions swirled. What awaited them at the climax of that insight? Could the very thing they sought become their undoing? With one last push, the air crackled louder than ever, and they braced themselves for the moment that would change everything. The energy around Jamie shifted violently, like a storm about to break loose. She clenched her teeth, feeling the pressure of the darkness closing in, hot and suffocating. With a desperate determination, she channeled every ounce of strength she had left. "Cody!" she screamed, her voice overlaid with the rumble of chaos. "I'm coming." The light surged again, more powerful this time, as it connected with her heart. Memories flooded back, Cody's laughter echoing through hallways, the endless summer evenings they spent stargazing, their shared secrets tucked away like treasures. This wasn't just a bond. It was a tether, strong and unyielding. "Your heart is the key," the ghost girl urged, her voice steady, even as debris flew around them. "You need to remember." "What did he mean to you?" "Everything." Jamie's shout bounced around the chamber, almost drowned by the ever-looming threat. Another pulse throbbed beneath her skin, a reminder of their connection. But there was still something more, something deeper that clawed just out of reach. "Follow the light," the ghost girl shouted, her own form flickering with fierce luminance. "Let it guide you to the truth." The darkness recoiled, twisting in agony as Jamie fixed her gaze on Cody's shimmering outline. He appeared closer now, his warm smile battling the chill that surrounded them. "Jamie, don't give up," he pleaded, and each word pierced through the chaos like a dagger of hope. Taking a step forward, Jamie could feel the pull of the abyss behind her, a sinister whisper promising power if she fell. "No," she gasped, shaking her head. This wasn't power. It was desperation. She wouldn't let it win. "Together, Cody," she yelled, her heart racing as if it could outpace the black tendrils aiming to drag her down. "We are stronger than this." As she fought the waves crashing against her resolve, a flicker of truth bubbled from somewhere deep within. A secret Cody had once shared. But did she truly understand it before? It was in that moment when memories merged into clarity, fear and kindness, laughter and sorrow, all intertwined as one. The truth wasn't about loss. It was about love, and how it transcended everything. "Jamie," Cody's voice rose like a beacon, igniting her courage. "It's not just about saving me. It's about saving us." Tears stung Jamie's eyes as she felt the world around her shift again, merging light and darkness. She whispered, "I will break the cycle." The release was instantaneous, light cascading in vibrant colors, surrounding the shadows, wrapping around Cody like a protective shield. The screech of the dark figure grew louder, an anguished howl as it splintered against the walls of light flooding the room. "Foolish child, you unleash chaos." "No," Jamie shouted back. "I unleash love." With every fiber of her being focused on the truth she had uncovered, She reached for COD. The radiant glow surged brighter, illuminating long-hidden corners of the chamber. The shadows convulsed and twisted, their shape morphing as if they were afraid of the light. Then a blinding flash. A wave of energy flooded through her body, connecting with Cody's essence. For a brief moment, Jamie felt the world freeze. All fear evaporated, replaced by a deep understanding of what it meant to love and be loved. Suddenly, a violent shudder erupted beneath their feet. The ground cracked wide open, a chasm of darkness spiraling toward them. Jamie gasped, her heart racing. What now? She tightened her grip, not just on the light, but on the promise she made to Cody. Remember, he called out, the heat of his words brushing against her. The truth will set you free. What was she missing? Was there another layer to the mystery? As the abyss called for her, hungry and relentless, Jamie realized the chilling weight of choice hanging in the air. Would she grasp the last piece of their connection, or would the darkness consume her, dragging Cody further into despair? Time slowed as she stood on the precipice of decision. What revelation lay ahead, waiting to be unveiled? Would they emerge whole, or would she lose him for good? As the ground trembled, she steadied herself, heart pounding like a drum. I want to let him go. But as the last pulse of light surged from her heart, Jamie felt the ground crumble beneath her, and the deep, resonating silence that followed cut through the chaos, leaving her gasping for what came next. What awaited them in the depths of that chasm? The chasm yawned, a formidable abyss that threatened to swallow everything. Jamie's grip on Cody felt impossibly fragile, as if the fabric of their connection might unravel with a single breath. The weight of the moment pressed down on her like the darkest of storms. Stay with me, Jamie. Cody's voice sliced through the tense air, urgent and unwavering. The light pulsing around them flickered, its vibrancy maintained only by her fierce will. But she could feel its energy waning, doused by the encroaching gloom. With a deep breath, she steadied herself, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. I won't let you go. Each word was a lifeline, a promise she was desperate to keep. But as she peered over the edge, the darkness appeared almost sentient, writhing with a life of its own. It whispered secrets wrapped in despair, seducing her with the promise of power and absolution if only she surrendered. Embrace it. It hissed, the sound like nails on metal. Join me and unlock your true potential. The temptation stirred within her, pulling at the edges of her consciousness. What remained of her heart fought back, resisting the call as fiercely as it could. You're not real, she shouted defiantly into the void. You're just fear trying to eat me alive. But the echo of her words faded into the darkness, devoured whole. She blinked back, tears, vision blurring, reminding herself of those summer nights. The laughter, the warmth of companionship, Cody's voice rising above the chaos. Would she really trade it all for the strength the shadows promised? The ground beneath her feet shuddered again. There was no time to waste. Drawing strength from her love for Cody, she stepped closer to the edge, her body trembling. Cody, I need you to focus, she urged, her voice vibrant with urgency. What's the truth? What am I missing? Above the chasm, his face brightened like the dawn sun breaking through the night. You already know it, Jamie. Feel it, he replied, each word imbued with raw emotion. His expression, though strained, conveyed a depth of love that washed over her like a wave that a memory surged again. The day they raced to the old oak tree in the field, hearts pounding, leaves swirling in the warm breeze. He had taken her hand, grinning widely, and whispered, We'll always find our way back to each other. Find your way back, Jamie murmured, realization flickering like a flame inside her. Their connection wasn't just about saving Ari. It was about the never-ending journey they shared, the decisions made not in isolation but as a pair. A surge of purpose coursed through her. She needed to bridge their love with courage. Cody, she pulled closer, rekindling the glowing warmth between them. We are the light. Love is our power. Hesitating only a moment, she stepped towards the edge, holding Cody's blaze of light against the darkness. It pulsed, lighting up their surroundings, illuminating the grotesque figures clawing their way from the depths. "I want to just fight the shadows," she declared. "I'll embrace the light we carry together." In that instant, the darkness recoiled, hissing in a frenzy of rage and confusion. It spiraled into violent patterns, unable to comprehend the force of her resolve. Cracks rushed outward, fracturing the ground, threatening to pull them into an inky void. "Hold on," Jamie shouted, grounding herself against the tempest. She reached out further, envisioning the bond wrapped around them, growing, expanding, pushing against the shadows. The chamber erupted in blinding light. It overwhelmed her, pulsing with the rhythm of her heart and the echo of love she held tight. With each beat, she felt Cody beside her, their spirits interwoven. But just as victory seemed close, the chasm roared, threatening to swallow them whole. The last flickers of the light dimmed, leaving Jamie to face a question that loomed larger than any shadow before her. Could love truly defeat the darkness, or would it sacrifice everything that made them whole? As the ground beneath her splintered and shook, Jamie knew the moment to act was now. What path would she choose? And would it be one toward salvation or oblivion? The ground trembled beneath her feet, and Jamie felt the world spinning into chaos. The chasm widened, darkness churning like a living entity, eager to encompass everything in its grasp. But in that moment of sheer desperation, a fierce strength surged within her as realization dawned anew. Love wasn't just a feeling, it was a force, powerful enough to spike courage against the relentless grip of darkness. "Cody," she shouted, meeting his vivid eyes that sparkled like stars. "We create our own light." His face broke into a smile, warming her heart against the cold despair. "That's right," he yelled back, his voice echoing through the cacophony. Together, with unyielding resolve, Jamie stepped closer to the edge of the abyss, her heart pounding rhythmically in time with the pulsing energy surrounding them. In one fluid motion, she outstretched her arms, the weight of her love for Cody bursting forth. The crackling warmth enveloped them, igniting a radiant glow that pushed against the encroaching darkness. "Send it back," she declared, infusing every ounce of her spirit into a surge of light that filled the air. The shadows recoiled violently, hissing like a wounded animal. "We will not be afraid." The light of their connection surged, illuminating the corners of the chasm with brilliant colors, slicing through the darkness as a lighthouse breaks the sea fog. "Embrace it, Jamie," the ghostly girl shouted, her figure shining with hope beside them. "You hold the power." Together, they harnessed their combined energy, directing it downward into the chasm. A blinding beam shot forth, bridging the gap between love and loss, illuminating the darkness like the first rays of dawn. Jamie felt the ground quake beneath them, a rumble of desperation from the shadows as they writhed and howled. "Believe, feel the love," Cody's voice boomed, steadying her resolve. "We are not just fighting, we're restoring." Each pulse of light sent shockwaves through the chamber, dynamic and fierce. Jamie felt fragments of fear flaking away, revealing a core of radiant strength within her. The darkness screeched, a cacophony of despair rattling through the air. Then she remembered. The truth, the realization sparked a new surge of energy. She turned to where the shadows pulsed, knowing that the voice wrapped in despair belonged to those who had been lost, forgotten, and claimed by darkness. "You are not just shadows," she declared, her voice resolute. "You've lost your way." In that declaration, Jamie offered a lifeline, a glimmer of hope to every soul trapped in despair. As the shadows paused, she recognized the fear buried within them. The yearning for release, the craving for warmth and connection. "Feel it," she shouted with fierce compassion. "You can come back. Feel love again." The shadows faltered, the malice in their forms beginning to wane as Jamie's words cut through the overwhelming anger. The apparition of the ghost girl moved closer, drawing strength from Jamie's passionate words. Together, they channeled their shared light, intertwining their energies to weave a protective curtain against the consuming shadows. With every replay of love and friendship cascading through her mind, the laughter shared with Cody, the warmth of his hand clasped in hers, she sent forth a stream of light that resonated throughout the chamber. The ground quaked violently as the darkness began to shimmer, artificially constructed worlds crumbling under the weight of sincerity. "Fight with me, Cody," Jamie shouted, focusing entirely on the flickering visage of her brother, urging him to rise. The light surged brighter, its power surging as it enveloped them entirely. Their connection, filled with memories, broke through the darkness as if it was made of glass, shattering the shadows entirely. A piercing cry erupted, a tangled mix of despair and relief, as Jamie felt the fabric of the darkness disperse around her. "We did it," she exclaimed, her heart swelling as a warmth flooded back into the space they occupied. "Jamie!" The urgency in Cody's voice pulled her back. As he reached out, light shimmered. Around him, a beacon of their bond that solidified over time. "I'm not letting go," she said, stepping forward, pulling him into the embrace they had longed for. In an electrifying moment, the chamber brightened with a harmonizing glow, illuminating faces once lost, floating to the surface like echoes of past lives. Jamie felt the weight of their stories filled with grief and longing as the shadows dissolved, returning the forgotten souls to the embrace of love. Together, Jamie cried once more, her voice harmonizing with the chorus of relief that surrounded them. As the air hummed with restitution, the last remnants of the darkness began to flee, and Jamie knew they had turned the tide. The pedestal sprang forth radiant energy, its symbols glowing brightly as the haunting echoes cleared. Jamie felt a weight lift. They were free. The darkness had dissipated, transformed by the fierce light of connection and love. As the brightness enveloped them, Jamie felt warmth encase her, knowing that she had not only saved Cody, but had ignited a flame that could never be extinguished. Side by side with the ghost girl, she turned to the chamber, now a sanctuary glimmering with past hopes and a promising future. In that moment, Jamie understood darkness never truly vanished, but they now carried a light more potent than any fear, a promise of love, unbroken. "Let us go home," Jamie whispered, smiling at Cody. With one last flicker of joy, they stepped forward, leaving the shadows behind, ready to embrace the dawn of a new beginning. Now, this is the moment for you to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories we have in store. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep receiving these amazing tales. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Let us know how you felt. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is everything. Join our community and let your voice be heard.